My God, I hate drugs.
Sir, you mentioned the president is interested to meet with Prime Minister
Yes.
Abe. Will he visit Japan soon?
No, he just expressed his willingness to meet with the Prime Minister. We will be waiting, of course, for the response of the Prime Minister.
Sir, also can you provide details about Japan's policy to open its labor market to Filipinos? How many Filipinos will benefit from this program?
I think the question should be directed to Secretary Bello because he is very familiar with that. That's his turf.
Sir, last, dun sa military support to fight terrorism, how will Japan assist the Philippines? Will this be through military exercises or acquisition of defense equipment?
Maybe both. Well, they have not particularized in detail exactly how they will help us, but we welcome all kinds of help. As I said, all nations of the world must unite to combat terrorism.
Thank you, Jen. Sir?
Hey, sir.
Oh, wala. Wave down muna, sir. Nestor. After Nestor, Ina. Nestor, please.
Morning, Secretary.
Nestor.
It's now a day before the 90-day campaign period starts tomorrow. When will the President release his official senatorial slate?
He has not made any statement on that. Hopefully, he will. But until such time, we cannot speculate on whom he will support. Except for the names he already mentioned.
But you are confirming that the President will have his own senatorial slate.
What he said was, I'm going to campaign for my preferred candidates. That's what he said.
Okay, sir. Kasi ngayon, sir, the President is officially endorsing 3 slates. The PDP Laban, his supposed senatorial slate, and his daughter's hugpong ng pagbabago. How do you think this will affect the chances of administration candidates in making it to the Magic 12?
Well, you know, in the ultimate analysis, it would be the electorate who would decide.
Follow-up lang, sir. The President is the chairman of the PDP Laban. Why is there a need for him to make his own senatorial slate and hindi na lang kumpletuhin yung top 12 candidates ng PDP Laban since member naman siya nun and chairman naman siya ng PDP Laban?
Well, that is his personal preference, so I don't think we can stop him from so doing.
Thank you, Nestor. With regards doon sa sa topic, Ina, Hannah, and Henry.
A follow-up to Nestor, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you explain to us first how it will work? The 3 slates that will be supposedly carried by the President. Iba-iba kasi po yung, I mean, they're not campaigning for the same candidates. How will it work?
I think what he's doing is he's presenting certain candidates that, to his mind, would be good material for the Senate. So anybody from those lineup would be good for him.
Let's say the candidates, the total number of candidates endorsed by these 3 slates go beyond 20. He will campaign for all those 20, more than 20. For example, if mag-exceed, ganun po ba yun?
But the president has already said that he will have his own preferred candidates.
So we're sticking to his own preferred candidates,
I think
and
so.
I'm assuming you're pertaining to the personal slate that he talked about before.
Yes. Unless, of course, he made an official statement that these are the people that he will campaign for. But even assuming that he does that, the situation where there are so many candidates being supported by the administration can only mean that we have a large number of highly qualified candidates that any one of them winning will make the president pleased and confident that it will support any measure that will redound to the benefit of the Filipino people. You know, you must remember that even if a president, and this was during the previous years, even if a president endorses an entire slate, there never was in the history that an entire slate wins or won. There is always somebody outside of the slate that gets the approbation of the people. So I don't think there is any danger or harm with respect to the other candidates that the president will endorse.
No, sir, it's not that about harming the candidates. It's more of who will the president be endorsing? It's still unclear, sorry, sir. Is it his personal slate? Is it also the hugpong? Is it also PDP? Because I understand he will be attending the launching, if on a FEB.14 of PDP Laban, and yet he will also come up with his own personal slate.
Again, as I said, if he, for instance, supports the three slates, then it only means that he has a deep bench of senatorial hopefuls. So regardless of who among them wins, okay pa rin sa kanya yun. Sinasabi niya lang sa mga tao na, ito, okay na lahat ito, bahala kayo kung sino gusto nyo, kahit sino sa kanila, pwede sa akin. I don't think merong ano nun. And I think that even the candidates would want that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ina. Follow up lang doon sa same subject matter kay Hannah, Henry, and Chona. Doon sa same subject matter. Hannah, please.
Sir, can we expect
Yes.
sa Feb.14 na yung mga preferred candidates ng Pangulo doon na rin magsasama-sama?
Which one is
Sa
this?
Feb.14 kung saan yung launch, sir, na aaten na ng Pangulong Duterte. Doon sa mga susuportan niyang kandidato. Ibig sabihin, halo-halo yon. May PDP, may hindi. Basta yun yung mga preferred candidates niya.
Hindi ko alam yung February 14, saan ba siya supposed to be attended?
Yung sorry,
Kung
PDP pala yun.
PDP laban lang ang nandun.
So, hindi kasama yung iba pang
I don't think
preferred.
so. If it's being launched by PDP, I don't think they will allow other candidates.
Unless in-invite din ng PDP.
I don't think. Kung kumpleto sila, I don't think they will invite.
Hindi pa sila kompleto, sir.
Thank you, Hannah. Henry, then Chona. Same topic.
Secretary, good morning.
Morning.
Ang Pangulo po nag-endorso na nung basically tatlo. Secretary Bongo, Secretary Tolentino, and General Bato de la Rosa, and last week si J.B. Ejercito na kandidato niya. Anong pagkakaiba ng pag-iendorso sa pangangampanya? Is he campaigning already for those four candidates?
Well, you can say by endorsing it, he's telling the people this is my personal choice. You must remember na hindi naman illegal gawin yun. Wala pa eh. Hindi pa naman campaign period. Expressing one's preference is...
So it's one way of interpreting na this is my candidates, vote for them.
Yeah. In a way, yes. Kung gusto niyo. Kasi
Opo.
hindi mo mapipilit ng tao. Kahit pasabihin niya kung ayaw naman ng tao din.
And mayroon po siyang pagbabawal sa inyo, sa
In
mga
fact,
cabinet.
narinig ko yung sabi niya, kung ayaw niya naman, diwag.
And may pagbabawal siya sa inyong mga cabinet officials na huwag makikialam, huwag mangangampanya for...
Ang sinasabi niya, kasi prohibited na nga for any government employee to campaign for or against during the election campaign. Inuulit niya lang yung batas.
Sabi ni dating CHR Commissioner Eta Rosales, kung ayaw ni Pangulo na pagkampanyahin kayo, bakit siya naman ang nangungunang magkampanya para sa mga kandidatong ito?
Wala pa nga prohibition eh. Wala pa prohibition yung pangampanya niya ngayon. Yung sinasabi niyang prohibition refers to the election campaign. And that applies to all employees of the government. Because under the law, it's prohibited to campaign for, against, or use any resource of the government in support or against any candidate.
Kailan ho to take effect itong...
Kailan ba yun? Darren?
Tomorrow is the
Tomorrow
official
na?
start of...
Yeah, tomorrow.
So, will we expect the president, wala na siyang magiging endorsement, pronouncement,
Most
starting
likely.
tomorrow?
Most likely, kasi yun ang batas.
So doon sa mga kumu-question sa Pangulo sa pag-i-endorso niya, ano ang policy statement diyan?
Kumbaga masyadong premature yung mga criticism na hindi pa nga labag sa batas ang mga endorse or mga kampanya at this time.
All right.
Salamat, Henry. Chona, same issue, same subject matter. RJ, ganun din sa'yo. Okay. Chona, then RJ.
Sir, pakibuo daw ng quote dun sa...
Alin doon? Which one?
Hindi.
Yung alin?
Di, sir, sabi po ni Presidente na he will not tolerate even a small whiff of corruption, and he even kept on saying na he has fired several government officials because of corruption. So, sir, how are you going, or the President, strike balance or reconcile dun sa anti-corruption campaign niya and endorsing candidates who have been tried, charged of graft and corruption? For example, sir, si Senator Jingo Estrada, he was tried dun sa graft and corruption sa pork barrel funds.
Number one, Senator Estrada, or former Senator Estrada, is charged with corruption. And the Constitution says, unless you are convicted by final judgment, you are presumed to be innocent. So the presumption is Estrada is innocent. Number two, he has been granted bail. And the reason for the court's grant of provisional liberty is anchored on the fact that the evidence of guilt is not strong. So you cannot begrudge the president for endorsing a man who is presumed to be innocent under the law.
Sir, sabi kasi ni
Otherwise, you're prejudging him.
Pero sir, sabi po kasi ni Presidente na small whiff of corruption.
Yes, small whiff. Pero hindi ba sinabi ko na noon, pag sinabi ni Presidente small whiff of corruption, inimbestigahan niya na yan. Kasi bago naman siya, before he fires people, meron nang dumarating sa kanya impormasyon at pinapa-imbestiga niya na kagad. Hindi naman lang yung sinabi, Mr. President, may kurap yan. He's fired. Hindi naman ganun ang Presidente. You must remember he's a lawyer. He has been trained to evaluate evidence presented before him. Hindi ganun si Presidente.
Okay na, Chona. Okay na. Same topic. Sige. Nakapila si RJ. Si RJ muna pagkatapos si Nestor.
Sir, what specific qualifications does the president look at when it comes to endorsing officials or candidates?
Well, based on what I heard from him when he endorsed it, he said, this man is honest, so honesty. This one is masipag, so efficient in work.
Therefore, Mr. Estrada is honest.
The presumption he is because he's not been convicted. What if I ask you now? What if he would be acquitted? O edi wala tayong nag-prejudge sa kanya. Tinapon yung sinampal tayo sa mukha. Yung pala, hindi naman pala siya guilty.
Mr. Estrada is facing several corruption cases.
Yes, but the Constitution says every person charged with a crime is presumed innocent under the law.
And to the palace, that's not a whiff of corruption.
As I said, a whiff of corruption doesn't mean a reckless receipt of an allegation of corruption and a decision to fire the person subject of that information. The president, as a lawyer, investigates any allegation of corruption before he makes a move.
So in that case, are you defending Mr. Estrada?
I'm telling you what the Constitution says because your question assumes that he's already guilty. It's very unfair for everybody. We've been saying that in my practice of law, even before joining the government, you cannot be assuming and presuming and spreading the guilt of a person unless he has been finally convicted. And you will only appreciate this when you yourself is charged and people start saying that you're guilty. We have to respect the Constitution. We have to bow to the majesty of what the Constitution says. The presumption of innocence prevails, regardless of who you are, whether you're an ally or a friend. Otherwise, meron tayong chaos. May anarchy tayo pag hindi na tayo sumusunod.
All right, sir, I just need specific details on U.S. government commitment of over 300 million peso in total.
There is no specific detail yet, RJ, because ano pa lang yung general
Pero
commitment.
who communicated to the government that they are committing this amount?
I'm not sure either with the Secretary of Foreign Affairs or Secretary of National Defense.
Who from the U.S. government?
Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko pa alam yan.
But how did you get the information?
From Secretary of National Defense.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Doon muna tayo sa topic pagkatapos last two questions about doon sa issue. After that, other matters, Maricel. Nestor, Julie, and other matters kay Maricel.
Secretary, because we are talking here about whiff of corruption, the President has fired several government officials who has not been convicted and tried for the alleged corruption. How is Jingo Estrada different from these cases?
The difference is the President, to my mind, has not received any evidence of corruption vis-a-vis Mr. Estrada. First, he is not a member of the cabinet. He is a member of the legislature at the time. Second, he was not yet president at the time of the alleged commission of corruption.
Will this not affect the President's tough stance against corruption, knowing that former Senator Estrada is facing several cases in court?
No. The survey will tell you that the President has made many perceived to be unpopular decisions, and yet the survey remains very high. In other words, Filipino people trust this man. They're confident and believe in his judgment. And ultimately, it's the people who will decide anyway.
Thank you, Nestor. Last question na tayo tungkol doon sa topic. Julie, please.
Sir, you mentioned that a whiff of corruption is not necessary and is not just a reckless allegation of corruption against former Senator Estrada. What does the palace? How does the palace define the term reckless allegation, where in fact Senator Estrada is facing several charges for plunder before the Sandigan Bayan? Is that reckless, sir?
I think you were not listening to what I said earlier. I said the corruption charges against the former senator happened at the time he was a member of Congress. It happened when the president was not yet the president. So there is no allegation of corruption given the president, or has he received any information or evidence relative to whatever corruption as allegedly he committed. So madali sabi, wala siyang alam doon. So as far as he's concerned, anong magiging basis ko? I know there is a corruption charge, pero that is being tried in the court. And as a lawyer, he will tell you, I know that he's to be presumed innocent. Now you want me to exercise my own judgment? Give me evidence. Wala pa eh. Paano? You cannot blame the man.
Is the president not afraid of tarnishing public perception about his corruption drive, given na he's endorsing someone who's being tried for corruption?
Again, I will repeat what I said. He has done so many unpopular decisions, and yet his ratings remains very popular. This man couldn't care less. For as long as he repeatedly says, I am mandated by the Constitution to serve and to protect. Any action that I make will be on that basis alone.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Last two questions tungkol doon sa still Bago tayo mag-other issue, last two questions. Christine, tapos Henry. Christine, Henry.
Sir, just to
Christine.
clarify. Sir, just to clarify. So, since it's the president has parang personal preferences when it comes to
Pala tayo
candidates.
tapos doon.
No,
Sige.
no,
Last two, sir.
I just wanna clarify.
Okay.
So, will there be? Is it safe to say na walang administration slate, but a presidential slate instead?
Ganun siguro lalabas doon. Dahil presidente ang mamimili.
Yeah, I'm asking
But
this.
of course, the personal choices of everybody will be depending on his own choice.
Yeah, I'm asking this because campaign needs, di ba, funds. So when it comes to yung campaign time, di ba, if you don't have an administration slate but a presidential slate, where will they get yung resources, if ever?
Boy, they're campaigning. They should know that it requires funds. But the president will never use any government resource in support or against any candidate. Stricto siya dun.
So it's just like an endorsement lang, and it ends there.
He made the endorsement during the time na hindi pa naman prohibited.
I mean, it will just be simply endorsement coming from the president.
O basta sinabi niya na, I will not allow any government fund to be used in support or against any particular candidate. Itaga nyo na sa bato yan.
Last na lang. So won't this, if ever, up the chances of the opposition?
Alam mo yung chances na yan will depend on the people. As I said, marami nang binatong putik kay Presidente, lahat na yata. Pero ganun pa rin ang rating niya. Madalit sabi, mas naniniwala ang tao kay Presidente kaysa doon sa mga kritiko niya or sa oposisyon.
Last question na lang doon sa topic. Last question, Henry. Then other matters na tayo kay Maricel.
Secretary,
Yes.
yeah, to be brutally frank about it,
Yes.
sabi nga, anong meron kay Senator Jinggoy? Why the President is endorsing him considering the fact na marami namang mga iba pang kandidato na walang kaso, walang nabalita na involved sa corruption. Senator Coco, for one, is an example. He is the inaanak and member siya ng PDP, pero marami ng mga endorsement ang Pangulo na hindi nasasama sa Senator Coco Pimentel.
Para maging eksakto tayo, I'll ask him why he's endorsing or he endorsed Mr. Estrada.
Sabi ni Chona Yu, may away ba ang Pangulo at si Coco Pimentel?
I don't think so. Wala. Oh, ngayon ko lang narinig yun.
Alright. Pero will we expect the President to endorse Coco in the near, in the
ko
coming
alam.
days?
Hindi ko alam eh. Pagdating dyan personal, kanya-kanyang personal choices yan. Let's wait.
Alright, thank you, sir.
Okay. MPC, other matters na tayo kay
Ina,
last. Okay, Ina.
the favorite of Joseph who is absent.
Sir, kanina sinasabi niya si Senator, innocent until proven guilty. How about in the case of Amy Marcos, sir, who the President also said he is endorsing her family accumulated ill-gotten wealth which the government continues to recover?
According to the President, she is helping Amy because she is indebted to her. Because she is only one of two governors who helped him in the campaign. Utang na loob yata yung kanyang reason.
So in Amy Marcos's case, the President is willing to overlook yung issue of corruption.
In the first place, Amy is not charged. So, kung yun nga nakademanda, presume innocent, lalo na itong hindi naman nakademanda, wala naman siyang charge ng crime. Wala.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. MPC, shift na tayo. Okay. Maricel, tapos si Cathy.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hi,
Sir,
Sel.
with regards dun sa Chinese who threw taho to the police officer. Vice President Leni Robredo says that this is in a way an insult or disrespect, not just to the police officer, but for the whole Filipino nation. Do you share the same view, sir?
I think I will follow the line of Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin on that matter. He issued a Twitter on that. See, Secretary Locsin, he said that let us not blow up this issue. That particular incident happens almost anywhere. Kumbaga, wag na natin palakihin.
But
Moreover, she has been charged, one. Number two, I think they're considering her deportation.
Sir, also Vice President Leni Robredo says that maybe this should be a wake-up call on the part of the administration that we should stop giving special treatment to Chinese nationals.
Maybe it's a wake-up call to her to stop speculating and stop giving statements that may inflame incidents that need not be so.
So this one, you consider it as an isolated case, sir?
I think so. I have not heard of any other incidents, publicly. But there have been rudeness on certain nationalities. And it's not limited to Chinese. Koreans do that also. Japanese. Siguro depende. Kasi kung minsan rude din yung tao, Pilipino. So, nagtitrigger ng conflict between the two. But foreign nationals who sojourn in this country should always behave. Otherwise, they're subject to loss and deportation. We will not allow them to disrespect authorities or violate any law or ordinance in this country.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maricel. Cathy?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, there's the statement from Cotabato City Mayor.
Sino?
She's Sayadi ang apelyido,
Si
sir.
Mayor Cynthia.
Yes, Cynthia Sayadi. That government officials, military, and even election officials allegedly conspired with MILF daw po ahead of the election. January 21 plebiscite. She also claimed that voters were not able to vote because they were being harassed and intimidated by members of the MILF. So what's the palace comment on this, and will the government
Well, our
investigate
comment
it?
would be if she has evidence to back up her claim, then file the appropriate charges against whosoever she felt has violated election laws.
Hindi ba to, sir, imbestigahan?
No, precisely. You have to file your case in the appropriate administrative bodies.
Cathy?
RJ.
RJ?
Sir, update on rice tariffication bill. Again, what's holding up the signing?
I don't know if it's already signed. I will ask the executive secretary. But I mentioned last time
Yes,
that
yes.
most likely it will be signed because when he met with the farmers, he said, I can understand where it's coming from, but it's the greater interest, the
But,
greater good. So, ibig sabihin, pipirmahan niya.
Aside from those reasons, sir, are there any other possible reasons that may hold up the signing of the...
No, I don't think so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Pastor, Viber question lang tayo bago sa'yo. Sir, Viber question lang po. There is a new group involved in Ponzi scheme.
You want?
Ponzi
Which
scheme.
Ponzi? Ano yun?
Operating in Mindanao just few years after the Aman. Sir, Futures scam was exposed. The group, which called itself the Kappa Community Ministry International Incorporated, is involved allegedly in recruiting members, luring them to donate 5,000 to 2 million pesos for 30% monthly return of investment. Malakas daw ang loob, sir, nitong grupo kasi the group is even name-dropping the president kaya hindi makagalaw yung mga authorities. Anong reaction daw
No,
dito?
my advice to them is if you feel there are violations against any law, then you should file charges.
Thank you, sir. Nestor? Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Representative Andaya has vowed to join Senators Lacson and Drilon in questioning before the Supreme Court the veto message of the President. Should it reflect the restoration of the 75 billion allegedly inserted by Budget Secretary Diokno? Because yesterday in a statement, Representative Andaya accused Cabinet Secretary Nograles and Diokno of orchestrating to restore the 75 billion. How does Malacanang view this possible questioning of the 2019 budget before the Supreme Court?
It's their right to question anything that they feel should be subject to a petition before the Supreme Court. That's their right. And in fact, that's their duty if they feel tama sila. Let the Supreme Court decide.
How about Malacanang's reaction that Cabinet Secretary Nograles and Secretary Diokno are orchestrating to restore the 75 billion allegedly described as a pork?
I'm sure Mr. Jokno and Mr. Nograles have the competence and the expertise to respond to the allegation of Mr. Andaya.
Will this not affect government programs if ever it will be questioned before the High Court?
I don't think so. Ang pag nag-file nga naman ng kaso, unless you're restrained by the Supreme Court.
Okay na,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, total nasa budget tayo. Viber question from Rosalie Cos. Anong masasabi tungkol sa mga pork insertions na nananatili pa rin umano sa budget 2019 ayon kay Lacson? Kailan po lalagdaan ng Pangulo ang budget?
Like I said before, yung sinasabing insertion, dati nang nandun yun na nire-distribute lang. Number 2, kailan pipirma? Malapit na siguro yun kung di ba gusto ni Presidente nga na ma-approve. So, it will be signed as a matter of course. But the President, as we said, will be scrutinizing every phase, every provision of the budget. He wants to be sure that it is in conformity with the Constitution. And he will veto anything that he feels is not correct or irregular.
Thank you, Secretary. Cedric, tungkol sa budget? Budget? Okay. After Cedric, last question kay Daniel. Sige lang,
Parang
last question.
30 minutes ago, narinig ko na yung last question.
Hindi, sa ibang topic yun, sir. Sa ibang topic. May other matters. Sige, sa budget muna tayo. Sa Daniel, tapos Cedric. Budget din, Bernadette? Other matters.
Sir, good morning. Sir,
Good
hindi po ba
morning.
nakikitang unconstitutional yung parang kine-question ng mga lawmakers yung veto power ni Presidente? Sa palas po ba, hindi ba natin nakikitang masama ito?
How can you question a veto power that's lodged in the Constitution? It's there. It's a power of the President to veto. What they can do under the Constitution is to override the veto. You don't have to go to the Supreme Court. The President vetoes a measure, then Congress can override the veto by the required number of votes. May mechanism eh.
Okay na, Daniel. Sa budget, balik tayo kay Cedric. After ng budget, last question kay Bernadette. Okay, Cedric, please.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, morning, sir. Sir, at the moment, sir, is it in the realm of possibilities that the President may veto the whole budget itself?
It's in the realm of speculation.
Okay na. Badet, other matters yung sa'yo, no? Kasi other matters, tapos sunod tayo kay Badet, last question. Cedric, other matters, tapos last question kay Badet.
Sir, balikan ko lang po yung sir, yung Taho incident dun sa Chinese national, sir. Sir, napanood ba ni...
Paborito mo to.
Napanood po ba ni Presidente yung reports or yung CCTV or yung photos na nag-circulate po?
Hindi ko alam kung napanood niya.
Sir, I'm asking this, sir, kasi, di ba, the President has a soft spot for uniform personnel, the police, and ano, baka po meron siya reaction dun sa incident.
Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, the President is always outraged by any kind of oppression. And as I said earlier, nademanda na, nabitbit na sa presinto. Now she's facing deportation charges. Ang ayaw ni Presidente yung you commit an oppression or oppressive act from his point of view, tapos walang nangyari. Kumaga pinabayaan lang. Pero given the situation, palagay ko you'll just wait kung ano nangyari.
Thank you, Cedric. Last question, Bernadette.
Sec, would you know po the reason behind the issuance of the memorandum circular by the palace reminding government units to ensure timely completion of infrastructure projects po?
Oh, it should be that way because there has been delays in the implementation of projects. And as we know, delays will hamper the services that are supposed to be provided by the government. Pag na-delay yung mga proyekto mo, di may problema ka.
So is it safe to say that the President is frustrated about the pace of implementation of infra projects, particularly those under Build, sir?
Hindi ba? Di ba I told you about his frustration over the requirements, yung tagal, yung sa conversion. Siyempre naiinis siya kasi si Presidente hindi siya mahilig sa mga protocol eh. Gusto niya diretso kagad eh. That is precisely why he was telling us, all of us, he was telling the nation that, you know why I'm appointing these generals? Because sila galaw kagad, hindi yung mga sibilan. Pag-argue pa sila, sir, di pwede yan, sir, di ganito. Sila, gawa kagad. Kung nakita nilang may problema, ginagawa nilang paraan para mawala yung problema.
But sir, does the palace know the reason behind this delays po of infrastructure projects po?
The reason of the delay, as we already said, merong mga restraints. Legal restraints. Kung minsan naman, bureaucratic red tape. Di ba sinabi niya na, kung minsan, yung mga papel dyan hindi gumagalaw kasi nag-aantay ng lagay. Corruption. O kaya, he issued that memorandum. Kumbaga, he's warning everyone. Huwag nyo nang gagawin yan. Yan ang ibig niya sabihin.
But sir, is the memorandum circular also in relation to the economic manager's bid to request for an exemption of infra projects from election spending ban po, which will take effect on March po?
Now, the economic managers know na hindi po pwedeng mga construction during the election campaign unless merong exemption.
So, related nga siya, sir?
Wala akong makitang koneksyon.
Okay. Sige, thank you, sir.
Salamat, Badet. Pahabol na lang, Cedric. Pahabol na lang.
Sir, yung po sa kaso ni 19-year-old Ashley Abad, yung allegedly, Ashley Abad po, allegedly na matay daw due to ingesting drugs.
Yung Cebuana?
Yes, sir.
Girl, yes.
Opo, sinabi ng regional director po sa Region 7 na tinawagan daw po siya ni Pangulo para ipa-arresto yung boyfriend, sir. Can we confirm, sir, na there was such phone call tsaka ano po yung instruction?
I have to confirm that. Ngayon ko lang narinig yan. Let me just brief you on the courtesy call of the Japanese foreign minister. He was received by the President of Davao City last February 9, where he conveyed personally the warm wishes of Prime Minister Abe, as well as Japan's commitment to further deepen and expand cooperation with the Philippines. The Foreign Minister likewise conveyed to the President Prime Minister's Abe's concern on the twin explosions in Mindanao. And he expressed Japan's condemnation of the terrorism and violent extremism and their commitment to assist the Philippines in combating the scourge of terrorism. And during that hour-long meeting, the foreign minister also reiterated Japan's sustained support for the Philippines' quest for just and lasting peace and development in Mindanao. He also extended felicitations for the success of the plebiscite. And he expressed Japan's commitment to rehabilitate and reconstruct Marawi and develop ARM, including, of course, the funding rather of the Road Network Development Plan for ARM. And in the same occasion, the Foreign Minister Kono recognized the Philippines' contribution to the socio-economic development of Japan and conveyed Japan's plan to open up its labor market for qualified Filipinos. Meanwhile, the President thanked the Foreign Minister Kono for the visit and lauded the inauguration of Japan's Consulate General in Davao, which he describes as, quote, significantly expanding Japan's presence and ties in the southern Philippines. The President likewise lauded Japan, which he described as a true friend, by the way, and proven partner, for its involvement in the Philippines Build program, and highlighted the quality of infrastructure projects as well as the transfer of technology and training embedded in the projects that would benefit Filipino practitioners and experts. The President also thanked and emphasized the need to continue strengthening the strategic partnership, particularly addressing the transnational crimes and conventional and emerging regional threats. The President also expressed his desire to meet Prime Minister Abe again to discuss developments in bilateral ties and assess ways of moving forward together on shared concerns. That, in effect, happened in the courtesy call in Davao. I'm ready for any questions.
MPC questions?
Oh, by the way,
Jen?
before that, there is a commitment by the United States of $300 million as intelligence support. And we, of course, welcome the United States commitment on this particular matter in fighting terrorism. It only shows that our military alliance with the United States remains very strong. As we all know by now, and the world, terrorism knows no boundaries, politics, religion, and creed. It is the new evil in the world that strikes at every country and every continent. And all member nations of the United Nations really should help and cooperate with each other to combat and crush terrorism. Of course, in Mindanao, as we all know, the terrorists apparently have gained a foothold in that region. And they have unleashed, in fact, bombs that killed our soldiers as well as civilians. While they may have created fear and anxiety on the part of the inhabitants, nevertheless, if you also notice, they were not intimidated nor cowed in exercising the right of suffrage during the last plebiscite. And we would like to assure the public that our armed forces are relentlessly pursuing these mass murderers, even as some of them, as we all know by now, have been criminally charged and presently detained. So we hope that the security measures provided by armed forces of the Philippines will provide the appropriate and necessary protection for our people. And we call on the people of Mindanao specifically to be vigilant and to report to authorities any terroristic act or any suspicion that any act of terrorism will be committed so that this can be prevented. Any suspicion at all that will endanger their lives, their limbs, and their properties. The best way really to fight terrorism is for all of us to be vigilant and to help our authorities by providing information leading to the discovery of any plot or plan to execute acts of terrorism. And as for Joe Masison, by the way, he has again issued another statement. And it appears to us that he is again in his usual daydreaming mode. Because instead of welcoming the offer of peace by the president, albeit conditional. And in fact, if you remember, this is not the first time that the president has made that offer. In fact, that's a continuing offer ever since. He said, we're open to peaceful negotiations provided that, one, you stop assaulting our soldiers and the police officers while we are negotiating on the table, and you stop extortion activities. Meaning to say, collecting revolutionary taxes. Instead of welcoming this, Mr. Sison considers it as an insult to them. He said that they cannot stop their collection of revolutionary taxes because their government needs this for administration and other social programs. My reaction to that is, oh, I didn't know that they have a government. You must remember that for 52 years they have tried to overthrow the political order, but they failed. I recall I was still a student at the UP when Joe Masison initiated a noble cause that moved hundreds of bright students marching to the beat of his drums. And in fact, lives were snuffed. And presently, some of them have survived. And like Sison, at the twilight of their years, hoping still that they can overthrow this government, and for that matter, succeeding governments. But it's a pipe dream. I think it's about time that Joe Masison realizes this, and he should join the ranks of heroic men and women who fought for their country from enslavement. And accept at this time that he can no longer actualize or realize that dream. There is no dishonor in accepting defeat. There is another mode for change. Gandhi has shown that through peace. Martin Luther King has also made an example of how peaceful change can effect changes. So we call on Joe Masison that it's about time that he contributes his talent and expertise for the betterment of our people and the country he loves so dearly. Because if he loses this opportunity, as I said in my statement, he might just be dumped into the dustbin of history and will remain a footnote in history. I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Secretary Panelo. Ms. Jen, then after Jen, Nestor.